Purple eye in the canyon. That's where I long to be.
The people from the Red River, the staff that waited the tables, they donated their tips. Anybody that the people that were the vendors that were there, every single person donated their time, their money, their talent, their product, their like that was truly community coming together. And man, I'll take that every day of the week. That's real. That's important. You know, that's where I live. That's Texas, man.
Yeah, hell yeah, dude.
Yeah.
Well, that's badass. Well, you got for what it's worth.
Thanks.
Thank
like, you. Well, you know what, man? We're listen. Jesus said, "Love your neighbor." Who's your neighbor? Everybody's your neighbor. Try to take care of people.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. That's interesting. Are you like relatively religious, spiritual?
Bro, you have no idea. Me and that dude talk a lot. Yeah, I've gone through too much in my life to not have seen God firsthand several different times. I've been in some bad places, man.
Just personally, or you've seen him work in other people's lives, or both?
Yes, man, I saw a homeless dude commit suicide one time, and I saw God there.
You saw it?
Yeah, I mean, I've seen some of the crazy. I've seen a guy almost got shot on my stage one time because the cops kept tasing him. He kept coming. He was all methed up. I mean, dude, just I've seen people try to kill people. I've seen a bunch of bad stuff just being around bars since I was 17 years old, all hours of the night. Dude, I've been on every any town in America, you name it, I've been on that rough side of town. I've seen everything, dude, and I've seen enough evil to know there's a devil, and if there's a devil, there's a God, and I've seen them both.
Is that something you knew your whole life, or was that something you learned later in life?
Man, God started talking to me when I was real young. I talk about it a lot in my songs. That's always been there. I always knew that there was we had kind of a different relationship, I think.
Is it different now than your childhood, though? I mean, I know in ways it would be just because you're older.
I quit fighting him. I quit. It took me till I was in my early 40s to quit bucking the system. Never turned my back on him. He never turned his back on me. He was always there with me in all them bars. When I was making bad decisions, he was always there. But he was there when I was making the good decisions too.
Yeah, you can't have one without the other.
Sure. Yeah.
So when you say like bucking the system, though, was that?
Well, I mean, every problem child gets disciplined, right?
Oh yeah.
It's and you're gonna do it even though you know you're gonna get in trouble. And I was that kid. I'm still that kid a lot. In some ways.
Tell me about it.
Yeah. I mean, dude, look what I do for a living, man. I've walked around my entire career doing this. I mean, like, there's nobody in Nashville, the whole music business, I hadn't told them exactly what I thought about them, right or wrong.
Yeah.
But it is what it is, man. I'm
Yes.
still having fun.
Yeah. Speaking your mind. No, I know exactly what you're talking about. But like, were you raised really religious?
I was raised by a mom. I was raised in the Church of Christ, which is real strict. If people aren't familiar with what that is all about, pretty strict. And but mom always made sure we were there. If Dad showed up to church back in the day, if he showed up, he was hungover or still drunk, and that was okay because he was there. Mom made sure we were there most Sundays, even if Dad wasn't. But Dad still always sang louder than everybody else, even if he was hungover.
Was he? So was everybody into music in your family?
Yeah, big musical family. Yeah.
Like, did they pursue it in any way, or they just were into it?
No, not really. My dad played honky tonks in the 70s and 80s when I was really young, when him and Mom first got together. So that's where I got my love of it. Growing up listening to old country music, that was That was and then old rock and roll from mom, old country from dad, old rock and roll from mom.
What rock?
Mom was big Elton John.
Oh, okay.
You know, golly, Elton John. I'm just trying to think of the vinyls I inherited from mom. Elton John and Led Zeppelin and gosh, everything in between and all the country and old rhythm and blues, Percy Sledge, stuff like that. Yeah.
Interesting. So that's where we get you.
I'm all over the map. I'm kind of a mutt. Yeah, it's kind of why there's a lot of rock and roll in my country, I guess you could say, or whatever. But
do you feel like there's a difference between some of your records and then like the way the live show goes?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. We record more. It's a rock and roll show with country songs sprinkled in. Is kind of what we do. We tend to lean more to the country side when we're recording.
Yeah, I know. Like, explain that to me. Like, how do
I like to be able to take just a guitar and be able to sit down at a singer-songwriter song and take a song like Loud and Heavy. I can sit down and play it with an acoustic guitar and make it real light and just blend it in with anybody's country music sing-along thing we're doing. Or we can play it live and you're at a rock and roll show. I like being able to do it both ways.
Yeah. And do you feel like fans or listeners, do you feel like they're caught off guard maybe the first time they go to a live show? Or does it just...
Yeah, I think so. I think a lot of them kind of go, whoa, because it's exciting. It's big lights, big stage, big production. The band is high energy. We run around. We're all... we're on our 40s or 50s these days, but it's not a bunch of old dudes up there playing slow music, man. It's a rock and roll show. We're running around and it's fun. Yeah.
Yeah. So like when you, like, cause were you working in the Stockyards, like tending bar and stuff for a while?
I bartended in the Stockyards from 03 to 07 at the White Elephant.
Okay. So I'm trying to think, like, at that time, like, what was some of the popular Texas sounds?
Oh my gosh,
it would have been Pat
I can tell
Green
they're my friends. Yeah, actually, they're my friends now. I couldn't compete with them, and that's the whole reason I left Texas to go out and play because of my good friends Randy Rogers and Wade Bowen.
Well, okay, hold on. But that's funny. You said you couldn't compete with them, so that's why you left
They
Texas.
owned it. They owned everything. I was playing too many Nashville song type of things. I was still playing George Strait and Merle Haggard.
Oh.
Everybody was playing Cross Canadian Ragweed and these guys, So in the early 2000s, like, I didn't really have a home, so that's why I left Texas and started playing all over the United States.
Because you were playing maybe more traditional country stuff.
Yeah.
You couldn't fit in quite as much in Texas.
Yeah. Everybody was wanting to hear stuff I didn't want to play.
So that's really funny. Now,
but now they're all my friends.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it doesn't mean you didn't like them or something.
Right.
Yeah, there's like one video that is like seared in my brain. I think I saw it on YouTube of you playing like a backyard freaking...
My buddy's Jeff's house.
Oh, you know exactly what it is?
Yeah.
Has somebody brought this up before?
Oh, yeah.
Like where you're playing the Randy Rogers thing?
Yeah.
Oh, I just was so tickled by it.
Oh, that was no, that wasn't Jeff's house. That was God, Randy gives me so much crap for that video, man. He's man.
Why?
Because he's like, man, you keep playing my song. I stopped playing it.
Yeah.
That was Jason's house. That was Jason Fust. Jason Fust. He lives in L.A. now.
That's crazy that you would remember that.
Yeah, I'm still friends with him.
Huh?
He used to hire us. He'd hire me and Josh. Josh is still with me, the long-haired bass player.
Yeah.
He's been with me almost 20 years. He'd hire me and Josh and pay us $100 a piece, and we'd play in his backyard at barbecues.
So during that time, so you would have still been working in the Stockyards. Mm-hmm. It was like every day you were tending bar down there.
Mondays and Wednesdays, I open to close. I'd work 14 or 15 hours Monday, 14 or 15 hours Wednesday. I would play music Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
Oh, you were doing like the kind of Fort Worth
local stuff, yeah.
All right, so like what was the movement out of that? Because that can start to become kind of a black hole, right?
Yeah. We just got in the van and left, man.
So you were doing full band stuff?
We were doing full band stuff, booking our own tours. Yeah. All over the U.S. Playing with Whitey Morgan a lot. We played with Whitey about 4 years in a row.
Oh, so you've known him for a long time.
Oh, me and Whitey. God dang, dude. Yeah. A lot of great stories with Whitey.
Where's he from?
Flint, Michigan.
So how'd y'all link up?
Our manager at the time put us together. Whitey and I didn't even like each other. And we're on the road together for like a month before we really even spoke.
Well, so, okay, but you had, when you said you were booking, so you had a manager at that time? You had a booking agent?
Just got a manager and a booking agent, and they put us together real quick. Yeah.
What year would that have been, roughly? Is that like after your first record came out?
That would have been 2012?
Yeah, okay, so it would have been, is your first record come out in 2010?
Yeah. Yeah.
So it would have been a couple years after
2012,
that, right?
2013. Right around there.
Why'd y'all not like each other? Or you just didn't hit it off?
We were both drunk and grumpy. And we're both sober and happy, and I don't get to see him enough. We love each other. I mean, like, I miss him. We don't get to play together a lot anymore.
When did you get sober?
August 19th, 2023.
Oh, dang. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, and like, so were you like real bad?
My kids saw me fall down drunk for the last time, actually. And I never drank again. I woke up the next day and I was like, this is a problem.
Or you cold turkeyed it?
Yeah, cold turkey, right in the middle of a tour.
Oh.
Went back on the road. Yeah.
Oh.
Had to learn how to stay sober on a tour bus after I had to take my first plane ride sober when I was 43. Did my first show sober, everything. Recorded my first song sober.
Well, when you say sober, the times before, like even playing shows and stuff, were you like really tore up, or?
I don't remember large chunks of my career. Years. I don't remember some years.
Did it ebb and flow in terms of how much? Would you just kind of back off for a little bit and not drink as much? And then
No, I just drank. I drank all of it all the time.
All day?
I woke up, started drinking. Yeah, I drank till I passed out, show or not. Yeah.
It's actually kind of fat. That's impressive that you could hold it together as well as you did. That's probably what made it even more dangerous.
It is because I knew I was good at it. I mean, I knew how good I was, but I got sober and we walked into a venue up in Indiana right after I'd gotten sober. And I was talking to my stage manager, and I walked in and I go, "This is a cool room. This would be a good show." He goes, "Yeah, we played here 4 times. I was like, I played here 4 times? He's like, "Yeah." I was like, "Huh. All right. Well, it's going to be a good one. I'm sober now, so I'll remember."
But your wife stayed with you through all that, right?
28 years, yeah. So we've been together.
Yeah, I mean, would she like encourage you along the way to try to stop, or what?
No. She just lived with it.
Yeah.
God bless her. I just woke up one day. She'd been praying for it for a long time.
Wow.
Yeah.
So that's probably one of those moments where you're like, God is real.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was one of those, like, when you're that big of a drunk and you just stop, yeah, there's something higher going on.
Yeah, not to mention nothing bad happened after it, like crazy withdrawals and just crazy shit that happens. Mm-hmm. I had somebody really close to me in recent past. They cold turkeyed it, and it got bad.
Yes, I've seen that. I've seen that on the road.
Like DTs, hallucinations, and did a bunch of crazy shit.
Yeah.
No bueno.
Been around that, yeah.
Well, and like people have told me that they don't know like if it'll happen or why it necessarily happens to certain people. Like the hallucination withdrawal thing. Like some people don't get it.
I didn't get like DTs like I got the night sweats.
Yeah.
I would sweat it out at night. I would dream, like really, really bad dreams.
Oh. Did you get more irritable?
No, I became very emotional. Yeah.
Oh, holy cow. So you were probably like feeling some things you hadn't felt
Yes,
before.
I never cried. I didn't cry for a lot of years, and I quit drinking, and I started feeling things, and then I started crying like a normal person again. Yeah. I'd forgotten how.
For 20 something years.
I was
30?
drunk 24 years.
So you hadn't cried in that long?
Not like a real, not a good one. Not a real one. No.
Whoa.
Yeah.
What was the first one like?
I don't know, because after I quit drinking, I cried so much. It was
Wow.
weird. Yeah.
That's kind of amazing though.
Yeah. 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 Not anymore. I mean, like I've had to go to therapy and learn how to re-feel things and whatnot. So, I mean, like I'm in control over all that. But yeah, right at first it was pretty crazy.
Wow. Yeah. Well, screw that. Let's not talk about that. I don't want to talk about that anymore. That's freaking way too heavy.
Hey, I told you, man. I'll talk about anything you want. It's real life, dude.
It's very real life. It's very real life. But that's a freaking heavy topic, dude. It's also an impressive thing to be willing to like talk about it.
I learned from a good friend of mine named Mark Morton. He's a guitar player for a metal band called Lamb of God. And when I first got sober, he was celebrating his 5th year, and we were writing together. And I was still weird. I didn't know that I could talk about it. He goes, "You got to talk about it, dude. You got to talk about it." And so now I talk about it all the time with people. People ask me.
And so you can't even have like a beer. It's like if
It's
you
full
have
throttle,
one, it's
bro.
freaking yeah. I just never got that one. Thankfully,
If I drank one right now, man,
you would just freaking
yeah, dude, I'd grab me a cigarette and I'd have a case and a carton of cigarettes on the way home, man.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have a little bit of that in me, but I don't know. I was always like decent at just saying no at a point, like just do a little bit. And,
You know, think about my last 15 years, people have been driving me around.
oh, sure. Well, yeah, and that didn't always.
I never had to drive anywhere. I'm riding buses.
Yeah, yeah, that hasn't always stopped me from drinking.
Well, understood.
Yeah. If I'm being honest. But I can see how if you didn't have to worry about it, it would just make that even worse. You're just rolling down the road. I mean,
It's easy to say I'm successful. I never have to drive.
yeah.
I can basically do whatever I want to do whenever I want to do it. I take care of my stuff. You know, it's a business where it's celebrated to be a screw up.
I know.
You get better songs.
Oh, you think so?
Dude, I don't remember. You can. I'm writing some of the best stuff now, sober. But like, dude, I wrote some of my hits. I don't remember writing them, man.
Do you have a fear? I'm curious if you thought about it. Do you have a fear that people will think, like, because perception in a lot of ways with what songwriting and music is kind of is reality, because it's all based on how people feel about it. Music isn't objectively good or bad. So do you ever get worried that people will just think like, oh, well, he was better when he was drinking or when he wasn't sober?
No, I don't worry about that. I hope they're a part of the journey with me. My life's on records, man. I mean, my work has always been my life, my journey. Hopefully they're growing up with me. Hopefully we're all trying to get better, be better husbands, be better fathers, be better, you know, I hope that the stuff I'm writing now is an invitation to be a part of that journey with me. We did that honky tonkin' back in the day. We did it. We got the T-shirts, man. Let's grow up and be better. You know?
Yeah, sure. I love that.
Yeah.
Because I really don't subscribe to the idea that you have to be like tore up or anything to make good.
I thought for years and years that's just the way you did it, man.
Oh,
You
okay.
know, you just stayed on the road, stayed effed up, wrote songs, recorded them, went back on the road. You know, just rinse, repeat.
Because I had like really bad stage fright when I first started. And like now, I don't know if you call it necessarily stage fright. There's anxieties, but they're for different reasons. Not necessarily like, am I going to be able to sing this or do well? It's more so like, did I sell enough tickets? You know, it's like, you just so much other stuff that you're like have anxiety about. But I would use it as a coping mechanism at times, the alcohol, to just get up there with some confidence and just kind of try to bring a party. But then I went through this phase of a few songs in, 3 or 4 songs in, I would have these like, they weren't panic attacks, but they would sort of be these like just out of control. I guess I would kind of panic in a way and just kind of feel out of control. And then I would like spiral from there. Because then I was like, if I looked at somebody weird or just like did something weird, then I would like, because I was kind of a little drunk, like, and I would kind of freak out a little bit. And then maybe you drink a little bit more, or I try to like rally and get out of it. And then moving into like getting up there stone cold sober, I'm like a little bit more nervous when I walk up there, but then like right when I'm starting to play, I'm like in total control, and I enjoy it a lot more. Like I have all my faculties.
Yeah.
And like, especially in the studio, like I like just being like totally sober. I don't like to be spaced out. Like I like to be totally there and like capable and be able to, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it was definitely like a process to like get used to that.
Well, just playing live, you know, you'd find your regiment, you'd stick to that, and a couple beers too many or a couple beers not enough, and you wouldn't be in the right headspace, and learning how not to have to do that, and then being in the studio. We used to get cases of, like a pallet of Miller Lite and like cases and cases and cases of whiskey and booze, and we'd drink it all, you know, and like, so we had to relearn how to do everything sober. Half the guys in the band have quit drinking, you know, so it's, our writer used to be, you know, 5 cases of beer, 2 bottles of whiskey, and now it's Topo Chico and nerd clusters.
Yeah. Yeah. Which, dude, I don't know.
I'm not joking. Those are on my rider now.
But I don't know if the nerds are much better.
Yeah, right.
They might be worse.
They're
for
crack, dude. Yeah, we have 2 bags of them on. Like we get Topo Chico and non-alcohol beer and nerd clusters are the in a deli tray. You know?
Oh, and the deli tray.
Yeah.
Oh, is that why we got the deli tray over there? Got the
I'll take it home. If I don't know if they told you I needed a deli tray. I live 20 minutes from here.
We have nerd ropes. We have every color.
I still feel bad about having Michael here, man. Like I thought it was like
Michael back there.
Yeah,
A little shout out to Michael back there, local law enforcement.
Man, Decatur, Texas finest. Thank you for being here. Appreciate it. Thank you for protecting me from the staff.
Cody had heard some stuff about me in this podcast, and he was like, "We need to have law enforcement here."
Yeah, I'm just gonna go with it. Yeah, that's funny.
That is funny. So I find it interesting on your records. I would think some people might not know how different every record actually is, like even sonically, and the way you guys mix them and even approach them. Yeah. Like, I find that a lot of people think that you kind of like have your thing and you stick to your thing. But like when I listen through your records, granted you might use like similar instrumentation, which I think is maybe what people gravitate towards with their ear. Mm-hmm. And they just are like, oh, okay, like this is a Cody Jinks record. But I listen to some of the mixing and even like the approach of the recording, and I'm like, whoa, this is way different. Like the one that you put out in 2000, I think it was 17, the one with the wolf on the cover. Yeah. Like to me, that was a very different record for you. Yeah. Especially coming off of
The Wanting.
Yeah. And coming out of the Adobe sound. Mm-hmm. Thought it was different. Yeah. And so it's like one more, don't like one more. I mean, I like that kind of stuff. And I'd be curious what your opinion is on the difference in your.
I am so afraid of making the same record twice. You know, kind of going back to what you just said about, or what I just said, you know, hopefully the fans are growing with us. Man, listen, George Strait is not putting out Amarillo by Morning anymore. You know, fast forward to.
Okay, hold on.
Check
but
Yes
see,
or-
I would kind of push back on the George Strait thing.
Right.
Because I find that his records all kind of, until like maybe the 2000s.
Yeah.
I think he did. I mean, they were a lot. They were the same records.
They were a lot the same, but like you have George Strait, he's had a 50-year career essentially, 40-year career, 45-year career. Amarillo by Morning to fast forward to like 98, 99 to Check Yes or No.
Okay.
Completely different stuff to fast forward to How About Them Cowgirls. You know, like it's still George Strait, and the changes are probably more subtle than most average music fans.
Well, I feel like some of that was technologically driven. Like
well,
even just recording quality.
Not just recording quality. I think that just the way that songs were being written back then, because he's not a songwriter, you know, like the songwriting changed, and you can tell that his delivery is the same, his band is the same, his approach is the same. The songs started changing. And whether you're writing your own songs or not, he's had an audience that has grown with him. You know, take another example of a band that does their own songs, like Rolling Stones. Exile on Main Street in the 60s was, or 70s, 60, late 60s, whenever it was, is vastly different from Voodoo Lounge 94 to what they just dropped last year. You know, I never want to make the same record twice. I want it to sound like us uniquely, but they're all going to be pretty different, I would say, at this point.
I used to get I still kind of do get frustrated about the record thing. I love the idea that you put together a cohesive, I don't know, piece of work that all goes together. But like the idea of it being 12 songs versus 8 songs versus 4 songs versus 20 songs, like I've always found to be a little bit arbitrary.
Sure.
And at times it's a little frustrating for me because like, okay, so like you get a batch of songs together, you book studio time, you have the players, you've got the engineers, and you have the pre-production for it, which is like drum tones and some guitar tones and stuff. And you kind of get boxed in to some sounds. And like maybe those sounds and tones work for 3 songs, like really well for those 3 songs. And then the other 8, 9, 10, it doesn't really work as well. But because we like want to make it a whole record, we have to do it all at that one time. And that's always been a little bit frustrating for me, rather than like letting each song independently breathe on its own, which that would come at the risk of the whole project not sounding super cohesive. Does that make sense? It's almost like you would sacrifice each song being the best it could absolutely be just to have 12 that sound cohesive.
Yeah. Well, I don't know if this is exactly what we're doing right now, but we just finished recording for what's going to be our record this summer. 4 of the songs are from the session back in LA. And I don't want to jump the gun here and say it's going to be 12, because I don't know if it's going to be 10, 12, or 14. We have 20-something songs right now recorded. Right now we're in the process, and I can probably tell you in the top 14 to 12 to 10 area. But yeah, I think you have to be mindful of cohesiveness, especially because in producers have a lot to do with that as well. Now, we don't have as much of a hard time with that because no matter who's producing us, we have the same band. We don't use session musicians, and our band uses their gear. Like we record with our stuff, you know, so we don't worry so much. And Josh, our bass player, he produces everything. So this record,
has he always produced most everything?
Since Adobe.
He did Adobe.
Dude,
and I know you hear this all the time.
He and Charles Godfrey did Adobe, and we just actually left the Adobe studio. Me and the band was back down in Adobe last week with Charles again, the guy that did Adobe Sessions. We got the whole crew back together 12 years later and finished recording this record.
Oh, you finished it at Adobe?
Yeah, I finished it.
Is that in El Paso?
I was at Adobe 4 days ago.
Where is that in El Paso?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I was out there for 11 days finishing up the record in El Paso, and then I flew to Nashville to write for 2 days, and I flew home. Got home the day before yesterday.
There was a sound at that place. There was also something on that record too about. I'd be curious what you think about it. Your vocals were much crisper.
Yeah.
From that record compared to pretty much all the other ones, in my opinion.
You like crisp as in like
more present.
More present.
Probably brighter.
Brighter. Okay.
And they did have like a little sizzle on them, which I like.
Yeah.
Because like to me, that's kind of brings out, you have a low voice, but it's raspy too.
Yeah.
Which is
I have like a really natural kind of little sizzle rasp thing in there. Yeah.
Yeah. And sometimes if that's not brought out, like either through like.
Producers either love that or hate that.
Okay. Yeah. Well, that's been my experience.
That's kind of funny. Yeah.
What do you think?
Yeah.
What do you like?
Well, yeah, it's
God forbid the artist decides what.
Well, yeah, because I don't know if that rasp thing you have is working right now or doesn't. Like, I hope to God it is, because it's what I sound like,
Well, and yours isn't like
it's not overly
no, not at all. It's just a smokiness.
Yeah, it's just cigarettes and whiskey, man. Yeah.
I like the sizzle on it.
Mm-hmm. I do too, and a lot of that came from singing metal from. Years before I was singing country, screaming my head off, and thankfully enough, after the years of doing that, it recovered enough. I didn't even know if I could sing country whenever I started singing country. I'd never sang country before.
So does it ruin your voice? The metal screaming
it did
thing?
Things to my voice that are irreparable, but that have given it the distinct sound that it's got. So I can't look back and say I wish I wouldn't have done that, because I sound the way I do because of what I did back then, and. Yeah, it's kind of what came first, the chicken or the egg? Is art imitating life, or is life imitating art? I screamed so much and smoke and drank so much, I got rid of any chance of having a beautiful vibrato or anything like that. But then again, the voice that I have came from years of doing it the way I did it.
Yeah, you can hear a story in your voice.
Sure.
As much as the story you're telling.
Sure, yeah. In the guys that I gravitated towards whenever I was younger were those guys that you could hear a story in the voice. Randy Travis, story in the voice. Keith Whitley, story in the voice. Merle Haggard, story in the voice. Lefty Frizzell, that was huge when I was growing up. Story in the voice.
Did you get shit for trying to merge some genres a little bit?
I still get shit for that.
From who? Is it?
I get shit from the country people for trying to. It's not all of them, but I get shit from some country people for. I cross over a lot with the rock and metal people, and then I get shit from the rock and metal people that are, like we played a festival with Black Label Society up in Pennsylvania. It was us, Black Label Society, and Clutch.
That's awesome.
It is. It's super cool, and we know those guys and love those guys, and it's a lot more fun for the bands to say, hey, let's get together and jam. You have all these different kinds of bands, and then the crowd goes, well, why the hell did you invite a country band here? It's you can always be the most rock band at a country show. You cannot be the most country band at a rock show.
Do you have a t-shirt?
Words to live by, brother. I've been doing this a long time.
That has to be a t-shirt.
Yeah.
If you don't, I'm going to steal it.
Learned it the hard way. I don't even know where that came from. I can tell you that, actually. That came from Wes Bayless from the Steelwoods. That's where that came from.
I'm glad you gave the credit.
Yeah, because I had to think about that for a minute. But yeah, that's where that came from.
Because Lord knows somebody blow you up in the comments.
Yeah.
Actually. That was Wes Bayless in 2017.
Yeah, people like to correct you in comments.
Yeah, people are tough online, dude.
People are tough online.
People are tough online.
Yeah. People sure are neat. We don't get political, or I don't express my opinions personally or about anything online. Everything's business. It's, where we're going to be. Here's some new songs. Hope you dig the music. Our shows are the same way. It is not one way or the other. I'm not trying to preach anybody to heaven. Our job is to get there and entertain people with song. And I tell people every night at our show, I said, you guys got 3. I said, how many of you guys watch the news? You know, everybody will be like, yeah, or boo, or whatever. I'll be like, good. You got 3 hours to get away from all that shit.
Good for you.
We are not going to do any of that. I said, I'll say like something like, hey, you need to turn and look to your left and your right. Look at your neighbors, you know, and everybody's like, all right, those are the people you're going to be jamming out with for the rest of the night. Let's have a good time. Try not to spill too much beer on your neighbor, you know. I mean, and dude, we don't have fights, you know.
I did want to talk about abortion though.
Bring it on. Let's go. Let's do it, man. We already talked about how big of a drunk I was. You think
Dude,
abortion bothers you?
Who were we talking to? Was it Edie?
Yeah. Oh, I love Edie. I was talking to Courtney Patton yesterday about a song that me and her and Jason wrote. As a matter of fact, yeah.
Yeah, Edie was on here like a week ago.
I've known Edie a long time.
It's the first time I met him. Dude, I've been such a lone wolf my entire existence.
Jason and I's first ever paying like show was together.
When?
We had a regular gig on Tuesday nights at the Longhorn Saloon in the Stockyards. Years and years ago, man.
Y'all would just probably sit up there and just get ripped.
Just hammered. Yeah. Yeah. Nobody was there. Yeah. I love Jason. Anyway, what were we going to say?
What did I say? I brought up something about transgender. I was making what was I talking? Oh, genres maybe? What was I talking about?
Yeah.
Like the countries, there is definitive country. And then
Oh yeah, like when you're describing, like I love blending genres, but I also understand the necessity of like words matter.
Yeah.
You know, if you're in the studio and you tell a drummer like, hey, I'm looking for like a Motown thing.
Sure.
He's going to play a Motown thing.
Sure.
And you can't be like, no, like country. And he's like, but you said Motown. And you're like, yeah, but I mean country. It's like, no, words matter. Like but I'm not opposed to like blending those things together. So anyways, but then I like somehow it's like, yeah, I mean, there's guys and there's girls, you know, I said something like that.
And then an abortion.
Yeah. And he was like, dude, I ain't touching that with a 10-foot pole, man. And I was like, I don't know if that's the analogy you want to use for what I'm talking about.
Jason is, Jason is so Jason's just like, yeah, bro.
Oh, he's about as chill as they come.
Yeah, y'all can have that over there.
Yeah.
Jason is cool as a cucumber. He's always been that way.
He's a freaking thinker.
Very deep thinking individual, smart. I enjoy. I've known him for a long, long time. I enjoy when we get to hang out together. We have great conversations. We talk. He's a wordsmith. Every word matters to him.
Mm.
Yeah.
Y'all written a lot together, right?
We've written a couple together.
Okay.
Yeah.
Like on your projects or
no,
just in general?
The last song we wrote together, he put on his last one. A song called Mean Spirits.
Okay. I'll listen to it.
Yeah.
Mean Spirits.
Mean Spirits, yeah. Yeah.
What's it about?
Drinking.
Did he quit? Or he kind of
He didn't quit. He quit drinking. To my knowledge, he quit drinking when he was on the road.
Yeah.
And he won't drink before shows, and he won't drink the night after a show, and he won't drink the day before a show. So, kudos to him for being able to do that. I wish I could do that.
Yeah. I mean, I guess I can. I don't know. Old booze brain though, he's a tough person to hang out with sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
Gosh, I've been such a douche so many times. And some things that I just would just so ordinarily not be a good idea. They just start to seem like a good idea.
Yeah, that's what happens. Time and time again.
Yeah, and I'm married, love my wife, and I just don't. Yeah, I'm out.
Yeah. Well, I decided I wanted to stay married because I did love my wife so much, and I wanted my children not to grow up and resent me because I got to know my kids at COVID, and when COVID hit in 2020, my daughter was 11 and my son was 8, and my wife and I have always been married. I would come home. I spent their entire lives on the road. And it was okay because I would come home and still be a drunk. And I'd be a drunk on the road too. I just wouldn't be at home. But when I came home for an extended period of time, the being drunk all the time thing started to not be good for the dynamic of that.
Yeah, dude. A tornado comes through.
And
You need to
and
be
then
able to-
I realized I liked being at home more, and I'm not on the road as much as I used to be. Like I'm only doing 40 or 50 shows this year.
Was that a weird change?
Going from 210 to 40 or 50? Yeah. From being on the road 9 months out of the year to being on the road 3 months out of the year. Yeah.
Yeah, and what a different time we live in. I really struggle with that. Like, obviously you got people that become super, super successful. They put out their first song and they explode on the internet.
Yeah.
They've never played.
Yes, the last of the road dogs. I was talking about that a couple of days ago. I was writing with David Lee Murphy and Bobby Pinson. Bobby wrote Don't Ask Me How I Know. David Lee wrote Party Crowd and Dust on the Bottle and all that. And we were talking about being the last of the dogs. There's no road dogs anymore. There's not kids getting in the van and doing it like we did it anymore.
Yeah, because
You don't have to.
well, you don't have to, but there's some of us that would. Well, okay, it comes at a cost, big time. I always kind of laugh sometimes that some of the old school guys, like before the internet,
Yeah.
sometimes I think that they might giggle at some of us that want to go out there and road dog it, because they would just be like, "Do you realize how much I gave up?
Yeah.
Like I gave up my family, I gave up like my health,
My
all sorts of
sobriety,
things,
yeah.
so that I could go out there on the road. You don't have to now, and now you're just convinced that you need to." And I get the necessity of it, but
Where I find you can see the difference between the types of people is that, like, the road dog, like Charlie Starr and I just recorded a song called In My Blood. And, Charlie, Blackberry Smoke's been together 25 years or however. And we've become good friends with those guys over the years and toured a lot with them last year. And we wrote a song together, and that song's talking about just being a dog. It's like, we sat in honky-tonk bars and learned how to play in front of 5 people for 4 hours, not make a 30-second TikTok video, get 8 million likes, get a record contract, and be on a private jet. Buddy, I wasn't on a fucking tour bus till I was 37 years old.
so is there? I'm not jealous of it, because like my journey's been a grind. I'm still in the grind. I'm freaking
It
just
never stops.
grinding.
If you ever stop grinding, you're dead.
Sure.
Yeah.
But I'm not like jealous of somebody that just has like immediate success. There's a part of me that's actually like, I've learned a lot.
Yeah.
And if when I put out my first music, if it had just exploded,
Mm-hmm.
there's a real good chance. Yeah, I mean, it's almost a guarantee that I would be like I wouldn't be the person I want to be.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have the perseverance and the character qualities that I have now. Not saying I got it all figured out, but you pray for like certain character traits and stuff, and God's going to like put you through things to be able to build that character in you.
Mm-hmm.
And so sometimes I'm a little bit like scared you're like freaking 18 or something. You just explode. Now you got like 3 tour buses and good luck.
I think that's why, good Lord didn't see fit for me to have, success until I was almost 40. We were on the road 10 years before anybody knew who we were. It's probably good. I probably would have killed myself, partying, back then. And I've always been kind of a slow learner and a late bloomer. And, going back to the people that get famous now, different ways, being TikTok, overnight sensation. I don't begrudge that. True talent's going to rise. Like, take somebody like Zach Top, dude. Like, I'm so in that guy's corner.
He's unbelievable.
He's true talent. He bluegrass kid raised up. Really just a nice guy by everybody's account. Man, I'm in that guy's corner. So I don't begrudge people of how they've done it. If they're good when they get there, you run more of a risk of getting somebody in there that thinks that they want to be famous, but hadn't put the time and effort into figuring out if they really want to do it or not. So you have a lot of busts now. Your percentage of busts is going up. You know,
Like, do you want the results, or do you want the actual work that leads to the results?
right? Because record companies have always looked at artists as record companies are wildcatters. They drill holes. They hope one of those holes is going to hit. You know, they're going to drill 100 holes. They're going to have 100 artists for that one artist that hits. And you got to drill a lot more holes now. Look at these TikTok kids.
Yeah. Yeah. The Zach Top thing is interesting to me because he is just so talented.
Mm-hmm.
Cream does rise to the top. I'm a little curious about genres, though. Like, I feel like in the last 10 years, we've just been kind of in a nostalgia phase. So anything that's throwback sounds like something that's happened before, becomes really popular.
Well, isn't it funny? Because now you're looking at, back in the 90s, in the 80s, you were looking at what people were calling the neo-traditionalists. The people they were saying Keith was a neo-traditionalist and Randy was a neo-traditionalist and things of that nature. Now we have neo-traditionalists or whatever it is. Yeah. I don't know. Yeah.
Do you think there's anything new that can be done musically? So for instance, even in the 90s, you had the grunge thing that was we hadn't heard that before.
Yeah.
And then even pop punk, like it or hate it, we hadn't heard it.
I think they're trying. I think that they're always trying. I think they're trying right now. I think that you're seeing it right now. There's always going to be crossovers. There's always going to be different kinds of things coming out. People are always going to be pushing the envelope. I don't think that. I think there's so many genres and subgenres now. Take metal for instance. There's 85 different subgenres of metal. Why? I mean, it's good or bad. Country. Pop country, bro country, traditional country, alt country, outlaw country, neo-traditional country, traditional country. Western.
Yeah, then you could do all those for folk.
Yeah, Americana.
Yeah,
singer-songwriter. What kind of folk are we talking? It's limitless. So I think just great bands are going to continue. There's only so many chords and keys you can do, but there's always going to be really talented people that are taking the same chords and keys that we all do and make us go, wow.
So if you were starting right now, if right now was your 2009, 2008, would you approach it the same way?
That's a great question. I don't know. Because like you said, with social media and everything being different, I remember when MySpace hit and we could put 3 songs online. We thought that was the coolest thing in the whole world.
It was.
It was.
It was really cool.
So I don't know. I don't know if I would do things differently and try to utilize, I came from back in the 90s when I started playing bars, we would go with CDs that we had burned with demos to shows we couldn't afford to get into and pass them out when people were coming out to get in their cars. We were still putting flyers under people's windshield wipers.
Did you say in the 90s?
That was in the 90s when I first started playing, yeah.
Was that in the metal?
That was in metal,
okay.
Yeah. So, I mean, I don't know. Things have changed so much. I can't say, looking back now, 2008, 2009, would I have done anything different?
Would you still just make a record and then go road dog it?
Probably I would. Yeah, because I always thought there was merit in that. I always thought that if you pass the smell test in Wichita, Kansas, or Dubuque, Iowa, or wherever in Oklahoma, or wherever in Minnesota, or wherever, if you could pass the smell test and have 40 or 50 people at your show, next time there was going to be 100 people. And then the next time there's going to be 500 people. And now we go to Dubuque, Iowa, and sell out the only arena they have.
Yeah.
Why? Well, I guess to answer your question, the formula we used worked. So I guess I would still do it. It was just, we did it the hard way.
Yeah, so a lot of those smaller venues that most bands are getting their start in, just going out there and grinding. Mm-hmm. A lot of those venues are going out of business.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the whole idea of having a built-in crowd is pretty much non-existent nowadays, in my experience.
Yeah.
So where you can just go show up and play for some people that have never heard of you, it just doesn't exist anymore. It's they have to find you online and then they'll go to your show. which makes it really difficult to just go road dog it. Because if you are just objectively smart about it,
it was hard back then. I guess that's why it took us.
Okay.
You know, we were out there for 10 years before anybody knew who we were. I mean, really. So I mean, it was tough back then.
Yeah. How did you like really finance it from the get go?
I went. At one point, I was over $100,000 in debt.
That makes me feel better.
Yeah,
For real. Thanks.
I went. Well, this is an overnight success story, right? Like, I went from being almost 200,000. My wife and I went when we were 37 years old. It's a true story, and I've said this before, so it's not like this isn't groundbreaking.
I haven't heard it.
37 years old, we went from being almost $200,000 in debt to having, after my first publishing deal, went from being almost $200,000 in debt to, after all of our bills were paid off and we paid for everything that we had and everything, we had $700,000 in the bank overnight. I was
You hear that, Jess?
I was.
You gotta keep betting on your boy.
I was.
We'll get there. We'll get there.
It took me that long, and it took that much of just us doubling down and doubling down and doubling down and borrowing more money to make a record and maxing that credit card out to make a record and maxing gas cards out to get down the road, and I couldn't see out of it.
Man, you had kids at the time.
Yeah.
Too. Wife and kids.
I had
I
I had an 8-year-old and a 5-year-old that were poor, and they didn't even know.
How often did you have that question of like, man, is this really what I need to be doing, or do I need to like?
I never had a plan B. I never ever questioned what I was doing. I knew I'd pull out of it. I knew I was writing good enough songs. I knew that we were making enough headway. I knew that our product, whenever we went to play, was going to make people come back, and not only make them come back, they're going to bring their families, they're going to bring their friends. I knew we were doing that. I never stopped believing that we could do that.
Not once.
Not once. No. We wouldn't have made it. We are an anomaly. We are the bar band that made it. You go look at any other band out on the road right now in the country music genre, there are not bar bands out there. There are guys that have played in bars, but there aren't guys out there that were playing all over the country in the shitholes we were playing at, with no backing, no funding, no record label, no nothing. We're the only ones that made it out. We're the only successful bar band, honky tonk band. We're honky tonk band. That's what we are. We're country, rock, and rhythm and blues, man. I came from the school of Gary Stewart. You put us in a biker bar, you put us in a country bar, you put us in a dance hall. You can put us in any fucking bar you want, and we won't just hang. We'll take it over. I mean, we've always been that way. We've always had that mentality. We had to. It was survival for us. There was no other choice.
Yeah.
We had no other choice. We would live on the road for 6 or 7 weeks at a time. Couldn't afford to go home in between runs. We would, Whitey and I did so well because we'd been out on the road for a month or two at a time, and we would take 3 or 4 days off, and we'd go to some town we hadn't played, and we'd take the bar over, and we would throw our own shows on nights off, man. We would tell people, hey, we're here. We've been out on the road. We're having a night off in wherever. Both bands are here. Let's throw down. We'd invite a town out to come drink with us, man. And we got to be known as those guys that, like, we were everybody's band. We were the people's band, dude. We were the guys that wanted to party and throw down with them. We'd drink with them before the shows. We'd drink with them during the shows. We'd drink with them after the shows. We'd crash on their couches. Yeah. It was everything you thought it was. Yeah.
It almost feels like, for me, you get so far down the road, you're so far and you've committed so much that you can't quit because there's no other option. Like, you can't flush it all down the toilet. So it's like literally the only other option is you just keep going. But then when you look back, it's almost like, I sometimes tell people, like, I wouldn't do it again. Because when I look back, which is part of like hope, and not knowing what the future brings, like there's something important to that.
Yeah.
Because if you knew exactly all the work and all the grind and the amount of time that it was going to take, like I probably wouldn't do it again. But the fact that I didn't know that is what just kept me putting one little foot in front of the other. And then you look back and you go, oh my gosh. And I'm not even remotely close to how much you've put into it.
6 or 7 years ago, Paul Cawthon and I were sitting on my back porch, and Paul's doing good. I talked to him the other day. He's taking some time off. And I asked him, because we're not normal people, that people do what we do for a living. We're not normal people. And that's okay, because nobody's really got it together, and nobody's really normal. We're just a little more abnormal than most people are. And we were sitting on the back porch with a glass of whiskey one evening, and when Paul's my friend and has been for years and years, Paul Cawthon on stage is not Paul sitting on my back porch. You guys got to understand that. He's not the same dude. It's like me and you sitting here, you know. And I said, we were sitting there talking about life. Paul grew up in Church of Christ. It's a lot of what's wrong with us. A lot of what's right with us. It's also a lot of what's wrong with us. And we were talking about life one night, and I said, Paul, I said, if you had it to do all over again, and you could choose the Matrix style, like red pill or blue pill, the red pill is that you are what you are right now. You're crazy. You're Paul Cawthon. We're out doing what we do. We're writing these songs. We're living these songs. It is what it is. We have to deal with hurting our families. We have to deal with being gone. We have to deal with our personal issues that come with all of it, all the things, all of it. Or you take the other pill, and you're Joe 9 to 5, and you're completely happy. And it makes you happy to get up every day at 8 o'clock in the morning and go to work by 9, come home at 5:30, kiss your wife, take your kids to ball practice. God bless those people. Those people keep the world turning around. Which pill do you take? He looks over and he goes, that wouldn't change a damn thing. Like, if you had to do it all over again, I'd rather go back and do it again and get the stories, man. You know? Like, Joe 9 to 5 is awesome. I hope to God my kids don't do this for a living. I really do. They've seen what it's done to me. They've seen what it's done to my friends. My kids can count more of my friends that have been to rehab than hadn't. You know? They've seen what it's done to marriages. They've seen what it's done. What this business has done to people. But it's what we are. We didn't choose it, I guess. I guess it chose us, you know? So I don't really have a choice in the matter. I'd have to do it again.
Well, I personally would be sitting at my job and be writing songs.
Yeah, I would too. I think I would too.
I would feel trapped because I would have no way of getting them out. Mm-hmm. And then I still would try to.
Yeah.
And then that's literally how it started for me, is like I just had to get them out. And then you just send them to people and you start posting a couple online, and then people are like, hey, that's like, it's not bad. You know, it's not bad. And you're like, oh.
Well, not bad is room to grow.
Hell
not
yeah,
bad can
dude.
be great.
Oh, yeah. Coming from my family, dude, that's like a freaking top-notch compliment.
Understood.
Yeah. I come from the whole, like, at the family reunion, they goad you into playing. Come on, dude. Don't be a puss. Come on, play. Mm-hmm. And then you play, and they stop you in the middle of it, and they're just like, don't ever do that again. That was terrible. You're like, God.
That's awful.
Like, probably has a little something to do with my stage fright.
You know, stage fright, you said that a while ago. I have it bad.
Hey, what I will say though,
I've always had stage.
not to totally throw my family under the bus.
Yeah.
What if it was really good?
Yeah.
What I was showing them,
Yeah.
they'd let me finish.
That's nice.
So you know what I mean? And they would sit there and go, I have an uncle that he was actually really inspirational with me starting, ironically. And we'd sit there and get like super drunk and just rip cigarettes, and I'd show him songs, and he'd grab the guitar and stop it and be like, don't ever play that again.
Oh no.
But there was times that he would let me finish and he would
Yeah.
listen, and he would just be like,
I guess that would depend on, did your uncle have a good ear, or was he didn't like that one for some reason?
no, there was something about it that just didn't hit him right.
Just wasn't him.
And like, I sit on the side of like, I don't resent listeners or people that don't know anything musically. I actually like their feedback because they're listening to it in the purest sense. Like, if I have to explain it to them why they should like it,
Yeah.
it's not very good.
I would rather somebody like, I cited David a while ago. David is a song of ours that sounds really, really fun and upbeat, and people love to dance with it. It's one of the saddest songs we have. It's a very upbeat, fast, fun song with really, 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 really sad lyrics. And some people I look down every night, and some people are crying. And I look down every night, and some people are rocking out. This is their favorite jam. It doesn't matter why.
Well, then at that point, it's not even yours anymore.
It's theirs.
Yeah.
This is my favorite dance song.
Yeah.
This is my favorite song because David was my brother. Two completely different, they're both right.
They are
Yeah.
for totally different reasons.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so somebody's saying, I don't like that. They're 100% right.
They don't.
They don't.
Yeah.
And like, then you can go down the road of like, why? And okay, what do I just need? Is it actually that bad, or do I just need to change this? Or was it just the way I performed it? You know, who knows?
Yeah.
There's a million different things.
Sure.
But what he would do is, if he liked it, he actually has one of the funniest phrases. He would sit there and he would just be like, you have no idea how much more I want to say I hate it than I like it, but I like it. Like, he says, it would make me so much happier to say I hate it.
Sounds like a record executive, right?
Yeah. Like, he would begrudgingly like it in a way, but it's more just, he just wanted to talk some shit. you
Oh,
know?
yeah.
And it was just like, I can't get over it. I like it. you
Yeah.
know? Which actually was really, it meant a lot, because it took a lot for him to finally like something.
It's still all these years later. I mean, you've been writing songs for years now. I've been writing songs for you now. I just wrote a song for my dad. I wasn't afraid to show it to him. We recorded it. I was afraid that he wouldn't love it as much as I loved writing it for him. Now, I wrote a song for my dad, so of course he loves it,
Sure,
right?
Yeah.
You know, but I'm 44 and it's still like, I hope you like it, Dad. You know, that never goes away.
Which I guess is a form of stage fright.
Well, man,
I just always thought of that was like caring.
Bruce Lee said nervousness is a sign of preparedness, and I don't know if that's true or not. If that's the case, then before every show, I'm about as fucking prepared as every guy in the room.
Because you're not nervous?
I am so nervous.
Oh, he was saying if you are nervous, that shows you are prepared.
Yeah, it shows you're prepared. Yeah. That, or you just don't know crap and you're just going to bomb the test, and that's why you're nervous. But
Yeah.
otherwise, it's
I don't know if I fully agree. Maybe it's a certain type of nervousness.
maybe so.
Because there's like
I should probably finish reading the rest of the book.
You just read
That
the,
was-
the preface.
that was
the title.
That was an excerpt that my buddy showed me. I was like, huh, I'm going
That's
to take
Bruce-
that nugget.
Bruce Lee guy's full of shit.
Yeah, right? Yeah.
I think it's the type of nervousness. I think like that kind of in the zone, like you're anxious, but in the sense like you're ready to go do your thing. It's different than the, like, I'm just really nervous about whether or not I can do the thing.
Yeah, I get in my own head sometimes. I'm like, what am I doing? What am I doing? I had to go to therapy and realize that I had a condition called imposter syndrome. A lot of people with imposter syndrome get stage fright because they have this feeling of, why do I belong up here?
Yeah, the irony of you grinding for so long
Yeah.
and then finally being there and then questioning why you're there.
It's funny to people because people are like, oh, you have stage fright or you get scared or nervous. I'm like, dude, we're all nervous up there. There's not a guy on that stage that's not nervous. I would be really alarmed if my guys weren't at least a little bit nervous before every show. Yeah.
So where do you think the imposter syndrome really comes from then? Have y'all unpacked that?
Yeah. Going down the rabbit hole of therapy, it's because you know, every artist kind of develops a character on stage. Every artist has a character on stage. Dwight Yoakam is not freaking Dwight Yoakam when he goes home to his wife.
Do you think that's to varying degrees between artists?
Yeah, I think some people live it more than
Okay.
And when I was living the character is when I got into the most trouble. And then when I was pulling out of living in the character that I had created, I started not liking what I saw. And I was about 38, 39, and I almost retired. About 5 years ago, I really came close. I was drinking way too much. My problem had gotten to be a big problem. And I didn't want to do it anymore. And I didn't like who I saw in the mirror. And I didn't know where I belonged. Some of that still exists because I still don't belong anywhere. You know, I'm still in a category of my own. I sell more tickets than most people on Nashville radio. I sell more records than most people on Nashville radio. I've never won an ACM, a CMA, or a Grammy, and those people on those shows, there's usually only about 4 or 5 of them that sell more tickets than I do. A lot of people on those shows are asking to open for me. Mm-hmm. So it's weird to be that famous and not have a place. It's weird to be an artist's artist, somebody that like other artists look at and really respect, and the records look at and say, I hate that guy. I want him so bad. It's a weird place.
That's a super weird place.
You belong everywhere and nowhere. It's a very strange paradox.
Oh, dude, you're freaking preaching to the choir. This is actually very inspirational for me. Yeah, because it's been at the detriment of my career for sure to just do what I want to do, play the music that I want to play, dress how I want to dress. Yeah, it hasn't been maybe the smartest thing, but it's the most authentic to myself. And I just can't.
That's art, though. That's art, and that's what it really comes down to. What a lot of what you hear, I'm not saying country specific, on radio nowadays. It's not art. It's sales. You know, it's a quick buck for the record companies to put something plastic out and have a quick sell. It's a pet rock. Quick money here, quick money there. Art in its truest sense, like the way we record records. Like when I record a record, there's nobody in the studio that has a title of any kind of manager. There's nobody in the studio that has a title, any sort of record label affiliation. It's me and the band and who's producing and engineering. There's no outside. It's art at its purest. We make the purest music art form we can. That's what we're happy doing. I'm not saying that's everybody's bag. I'm not saying that's what everybody should do. To me, as an artist, not even a recording artist, they give that title to people that can't write worth a shit. I'm a songwriter,
Yeah, the recording artist.
That's a good thing about not having a label. I say whatever I want.
No, I love it, dude.
I don't get in trouble.
It's quite refreshing.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not mean to anybody. Look, man, I have so many friends that are in mainstream country. People are like, "You're friends with that person?" I'm like, "Yeah, absolutely. They're a good person. It doesn't matter if I like their songs or not."
Oh yeah, dude. The tribalism in music is bizarre. The idea that like because somebody makes a certain type of music you don't like, it's like you like hate
the worst in country because you have a lot of bands that are put together. You want to go to a country festival and see a bunch of bands sizing each other up? Go to a country festival.
It's weird.
You want to go to a rock and roll festival and watch a bunch of bands cheering for each other? Go to a rock and roll festival.
Well, I think that's probably been what is the toughest thing about being a loner for me is that music, like the reason I got into it to begin with was a collaborative thing. Like I liked doing it with people. I liked jamming with buddies and writing a song together, singing together. I never particularly liked the idea of just me, like doing my thing out in front of people. Did you see that little shoulder right there?
That was good.
Yeah, that's good. You've been practicing
that one.
But I never really liked that part of I liked it to be like collaborative.
Yeah.
And I guess that's the weird thing is like the further I get along in it, like the more isolated I become because I'm just trying to just be authentic, but then that weirds so many people out.
I'll give you an example. Last year when Luke Combs asked us to go to that stadium tour with us, we were playing with a bunch of bands I really like. We met Haley Witters. She's very sweet. Wilder Blue, which that's Paul Eason and and Zane Williams, who I've known both of those guys 20 years. I mean, like, friends with those guys, you know. Charles Wesley Godwin, have been friends with him, you know, like on a personal level. But you know, Luke's one of those ones, like, people, I went out on that tour, they're like, you on a stadium tour with Luke Combs? I mean, that's, you know, Nashville, big Nashville, and you know, I'm like, do you realize how big a set of balls Luke Combs has asking me to run direct support on a stadium tour? Do you understand in Nashville the ripples that created? People going, holy crap, he's taking Jinks with him, for two reasons. A, we're normally going to blow anybody off the stage we go before, and everybody knows that, and we've lost a lot of opening gigs because of it. He said, I don't care. He said, I want that guy out on the road with me because he's badass. And he freaking put his money where his mouth is. We got paid more than any other direct support opener I've ever even heard of in my life. He flat out told me, like, dude, anything you need, anything y'all want, we are so glad you're here. His whole crew was that way. Just a gentleman and just super kind. And, you know, that's as big a Nashville guy as you can get, you know? And so it's like, no, dude, I love that guy. That guy went out on a limb for me. Like, you go out on a limb for me, bro, and I'm the dog that don't go away.
Now, there probably are some acts that if they asked you to, and I mean, yeah, I'm sure there's all sorts of people that have, like, wanted to,
yeah,
you know, I'm sure there's some people that are like, no, I'm going to pass. Like,
I usually just tell them to add another zero. If it's to
yeah, but even then, like, I'm sure there's some that, like, you just flat out would never be associated with it.
Well, sure.
Not even like because you don't like him as a person. It's just musically. This just makes
no
sense.
Was that's my answer when I say add another zero is I'm not playing with you.
Yeah, sure. They would never be able to come up with the extra zero.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm going to be making more than you if you add another zero. Like, you don't, you're not going to want to do
Dude,
that.
what if they said yes?
Oh
my God.
I've gotten them close before. It's actually kind of funny.
Dude, that would be epic.
But yeah. No, We're nice. We really are nice. We don't play with who we don't want to play with. Like, I don't play with anybody. I don't get put on bills I don't want to. Unless it's a festival and I can't control who I play with, I don't say yes to opening for people I don't want to play with, and I don't have people opening for me that I don't want them to. I hand select every one of my openers. We have Tanner Ussery and Shane Smith and the Saints going out with us this year. I handpicked both of them. Mm-hmm. That's my decision.
Yeah. So the new record?
Hopefully in the summer.
It'll come out this summer?
Yeah, it'll come out this year. Yeah. Hopefully. I mean, barring any major catastrophes. Yeah. You know, we everything's in the can. Right now, the song selection is still being done. You know, send it to mix and master, all the things that take months, artwork, you know, it's, yeah. Now I'm done with it. I'm done. I'm done writing for it. I'm done singing for it. I'm on to the next one. I'm writing new stuff now already, 4 days later, you know?
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm checked that off, and now it's up to the staff to get the mix, the master, all the packaging, all the product ready. I'm out. I'll go out and support it this summer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You'll just play through the fall?
Yeah. We'll we kick our tour off in a month in New Orleans. Don't have a lot in March or April. Picks up in May. Have pretty good in June. Go to Canada in June. July, I don't think I'll be home whole month of July. I'll be gone most of August as well. But we're going to try to cram the majority of the show into 3 months this year, because more than likely I'll be going to I'll probably be going to Europe in November. I'll be done in the States probably in October this year.
Yeah. Well, sick, dude. Well, I'm ready to hear it.
We're ready to get it out, man. We released in March of last year, and hopefully by the time we release this one, it'll be a year and a half between full-length albums, man. We're looking forward to it.
Yeah, man. Well, I've always been a huge fan, so thanks for doing this.
Thank you. I appreciate it, man. Yeah, yeah, anytime, dude. You're right. This is the closest one to the house I've had in a long time.
Yeah,
so,
it worked out perfect.
yeah, I just, man, yeah, I'm up here in this, like I said, my daughter's right over there. And this is home. So my
Yeah.
pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, for sure. The last time I saw you was in Nashville, probably 6 years ago, and it was backstage at some charity event, and like John Daly was there, a bunch of people.
Oh, that was Jamie Johnson's thing.
That's right.
Yeah.
But shoot, that was like probably 7 years ago, 6 years ago. Or
That was
something.
probably 7 years ago. It was me and Ward Davis ended up. John Daly was the only one that didn't have.
Oh, Ron White was there.
Ron
too.
White was
that
there.
was the other one.
Yeah,
I was just like,
Ron
where am
was
I
there.
right
John
now?
Daly was there. Leanne Womack was there. God, Daryl Worley was there.
He was. Yeah.
Me and Ward, Brent Cobb was there. And Ward and I ended up on John's tour bus. John's the only non-singer there and had a tour bus. He's the only person there that had their bus there. None of us had our buses there. John did. Me and Ward ended up on John's bus that night. We still drank, both of us. Ward's been sober for going on 4 years now. I'm about a year and a half. And John says, "Hey, will you come up on the bus and pick some songs?" John likes to play. John's a sweetheart. He's funny as hell. He's a sweet guy. He really is. He's funny, and he doesn't mean nobody no harm. He likes to have a good time.
Yeah.
But he says, "Come up and play a few songs," and me and Ward are like, "Okay." We were already lit. We've been at this charity thing and drinking our share of free booze and whatnot. We get up there and we're passing the guitar around, and John's daughter was there with him. She was hanging out, so he passed the guitar around. He goes, "Hey, let me make y'all a couple drinks." And we're like, "All right, cool." And he goes, "Let me make y'all John Daly." And Ward goes, "All right, couple John Dalys." And he goes, "Okay." John goes over to his sink, his little galley area, and he grabs a bottle of vodka and 3 glasses and puts ice in all the glasses and then just fills all the glasses up to the top with vodka. And then he hands one to me and he hands one to Ward. It's just a full glass of vodka
You just have to act like it's totally normal.
on the rocks. That's a John Daly.
Yeah.
So this John Daly is sure like straight Tito's, but that's okay. Back then we were drinking it. Anyway, Ward ended up having to leave the bus. He went out, threw up in some bushes, and had puke all in his beard, and took his sock off, and he was wiping his face with his sock, and then he puts his sock back on, and then he came back on the bus, and that's the best part of it. Nobody would have known any of that except he told us all what he did. "Ah, man, I just went out there and puked, and I had it all in my beard, and I just took my sock off and cleaned it and put it back on."
Yeah, you didn't.
And then you told us. All right. Yeah.
Did he continue to drink?
That night?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I have a picture of Ward in my hotel room that night. The next morning, Ward and I got up and wrote Same Kind of Crazy as Me.
Oh, wow.
Fucking hung over as shit.
Well, that's
Yeah.
how it happens.
That's how it happens, man.
So just John Daly's. That's how you write good songs.
Just some John Dalys, man. Yeah.
Oh gosh. Well, shoot, man. Thanks.
Thank you. Yeah.
This was a blast.
I'm glad to be here. Glad to be on the show, man. Thank you.
Yeah, dude. All right. Well, cool. See y'all later. Adios.